Let's see where we are. Let's see. Last week we completed half of the project that we're working on together, the assignment that we've been working, which is the creating a online course management system where we have faculties being able to create courses and students being able to consume those courses. So the first half was we used React for the front end. We used Java for the middle tier, and we are using JPA for the persistence layer. From now on, for the next couple of weeks or month or so, we're going to switch gears a bit, and we're going to be working on the second half of this product, which are going to give us a chance to explore an entirely different framework, which is sometimes referred to as the mean stack, not because it's mean or evil or anything. It's just an acronym for three technologies that work, or four technologies that work very well together, which is the MongoDB as a storage layer, the Node.js and Express library for the middle tier, and Angular for the front end. So we're going to they're going to replace the other three pieces of technology that have been working. So Angular will replace React. Node.js and Express will replace Java, and Mongo will replace MySQL. Well, they're not going to replace it. They're going to work in tandem, right? So it's going to be a fairly complex application that's going to have six different technologies all at once, right? It's very common in an enterprise application, especially has been around for quite a while, to have multiple technologies. All in the same product. Some products might still have, Flash somewhere in there, and you'll have lots of PHP and Python and everything in between. It's very, very common, and they all have to work together, and they all have to interact, and they all have to, be smooth. So this second half of the course will allow us to explore that idea of using a completely different infrastructure to implement the second half of this other product. So it splits nicely because this is be focused on targeting a completely different audience, in this case a student consuming the courses, the content of the courses. So we're going to still be hitting the same Java services, we're going to still be hitting the same MySQL database to retrieve data, right? But we're going to render it using Angular. So we're going to render the courses and using Angular. But unlike we can with React, on the React side, we're going to be able to edit the course. We can add more courses, add more modules, move lessons around and widgets. We're not going to be able to do that on the Angular side. Instead, it's going to be a read-only application from the student's point of view. Right, so it's going to be a read-only application. They can see and consume the course. So that's going to be for the first week or so, using Angular for implementing a read-only client to this. And so we're going to start talking about that today. In the next couple of weeks, we'll introduce Node.js as the middle tier, since the student is going to want to do something, right? Not just want to read the content. They also want to be able perhaps to interact with the application, maybe submit an assignment or take a quiz online or do something that would allow the user to provide some data to the system. But instead of storing it in the relational database like we could add a couple more of APIs on the Java side. But instead, to make it interesting, we're going to create the same API. We're going to create different APIs. But they're going to be hosted by our Node.js Express server. Okay, so we'll learn how to do that. So instead of using Java's web services, our REST controller API infrastructure, we'll use Express as our middle tier. And instead of storing the data that the students submit, if they submit a quiz or they submit an assignment, instead of storing that data in MySQL, we're going to store it in a non-relational database, MongoDB. That'll be in a couple of weeks from now. But that's where we're going. Right? So we're working on the second half of this application. So today we'll introduce Angular. That maybe will spill over to next week. We'll talk about Node.js. We'll start talking a little bit about Node.js today, but certainly more in depth next week. We won't have classes on Veterans Day. And then we'll come back. We'll talk about Mongo. I think we might be a little bit behind schedule since some of one of the assignments slipped. So this might need to stretch a bit. I don't know, or maybe I can take advantage of this week somehow and provide some content there so that we can go back to schedule. This might be iffy, getting to React Native. All right. Anyway, any questions on the schedule? Yes. Yep. Yeah. We'll talk about the project today. Yep. There'll be I believe. All right. So the final, according to this, is December 3rd. So we're going to have Thanksgiving. Then we'll have a week after we come back, and then the final after that. Project will need to be submitted a week after the final, so on the 10th, and the TAs and myself will be grading that week, and we'll need to have grades by December 17th. Okay. I know folks are looking to go home or buy tickets. So I guess you physically need to be here till December 3rd. After that, you can do things remotely, right? You don't need to show me any project or anything. It's everything going to be online. So if you want to book something for December 4th, that's fine.